Alongside, I would imagine, the rest of the world. Whenever I visualize a terrifying room with moving walls slowly closing in to seal the fate of its inhabitants inside, I immediately think about Star Wars, don't you? I mean, the iconic scene featuring Luke, Han, Leia, Chewie, as they desperately try to figure out how to stop getting squished by a larger-than-life garbage compactor. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this movie trope originated there or elsewhere, but it has certainly been revisited in multiple films, even in another escape room mechanics film, Escape Room 2: Tournament of Champions. Honestly, it's a trope because it's effective in eliciting legitimate tension as long as it's done right. But today I am starting a brand new marathon. I'm planning to watch as many films with escape room mechanics that I can get my hands on. I've already seen and reviewed all of the Saw, Escape Room, and Cube franchises, as well as a handful of other movies that I've run into over the years. But I specifically wanted to dive into some lesser known examples and potentially just as good as the bigger names. We're starting with FERMAT'S room. In FERMAT'S room, 5 mathematicians that may or may not be connected in some way are all invited to a mysterious home to solve the world's most difficult enigma. And the more that they can't solve it, the walls around them begin to close in on them a little bit at a time, powered of course by extremely strong hydraulic presses. In an hour's time, they expect to be as thin as pancakes. So they band together to solve enigma after enigma in hope that the next one will be the last and the ultimate key to their salvation. Honestly, this is the type of sub-genre in film that I love to watch. There's a reason why my outlook on all of the Saw, Cube, and Escape Room films are higher than most people put them out to be. It's just that I love the tension, and honestly, the use of dialogue and script in these films, because they essentially have to explain to the audience how they get all of these answers to all these complicated riddles. It's almost like mini twists throughout the film before the even bigger reveal happens towards the end. However, FERMAT'S room's in Spanish, so there's not only a lot of fast-spoken dialogue, but specifically fast-spoken mathematical dialogue. And I'll be the first to admit that some of these riddles went by so fast during the subtitles that I didn't always catch or understand the riddle or the thought processes by the lead characters when they ended up solving them. And I tried to, in my head, solve alongside with them, but most were just a smidge too complicated, especially for somebody going off of the dialogue and the subtitles. This movie would definitely work a lot better for somebody native to the primary language, as it would work wonders for just being a little bit more relatable. The audience would theoretically be able to connect a lot better to the characters on the screen, which means that the tension would ultimately work better than it did for me. That's not to say that the tension didn't work at all. It did. This is a slow-burning mystery thriller with a ton of really smart dialogue. I would even argue that this is one of those almost 100% all dialogue types of movies where it could be seen as performances in a theatrical play, but it's also unique enough to fit in its own film production at the same time. I'd actually almost wish that the film would be remade into an American film, but I know that we would butcher it, so never mind. One issue that I had with the movie is an apparent disregard to the one aspect of the plot that probably intrigued some audience members to go watch it in the first place, as well as the reason, I guess, that the characters find themselves in this room to solve the world's greatest enigma. And honestly, the air of mystery surrounding that idea alone definitely drew me in as well. But at the end of the day, there was no greatest enigma ever. It was just really a series of smaller, albeit difficult mathematical riddles that they work on together to resolve. So don't sit around and wait for a boss level riddle that'll blow your mind, because that's not gonna happen. I would say that the film is technically as basic as it comes. You got practical effects of moving walls, which is cool, but you also have limited character history and development, and it's all mostly shot in one location for a majority of the runtime. You're only really watching it for the gimmick of the riddles and escape room mechanics. If that is something that you love, like me, it'll never really bother you, and the whole film will be a blast and a half. It was for me, but it won't be for everybody else. Because if you are somebody that needs a deeper story, well, that's not what this film is, and it will not be the escape room film for you. I'm going to be rating this a B- letter grade. That essentially just means that the film's, it's decent. There's elements of it that are pretty good, though at the same time, it could be a lot better or a lot more understandable had it made some changes during, I would suppose, the production stage. But then again, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just too slow of a subtitles reader, because there's a lot of data thrown at you on those subtitle levels, and most I was able to get. However, they also solve these things really, really quickly. Yes, they're mathematicians, but their rate and the speed of them solving these riddles had me a little bit confused because I was still trying to wrap my head around what the riddle meant. So all in all, good movie. Not my favorite, escape room film, but I wouldn't mind revisiting it later in life. We'll put it that way. Guys, have you seen FERMAT'S Room? If you have, leave your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. Are you a fan of escape room films? If you are, what is your favorite? Do you like more of the horror-based ones like the Saw and the Cube films? Or do you like more psychological, smart films that make you think, like this, I suppose? Let me know. As for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next review. And until then, peace out!
FERMAT'S room, a shrinking cage, numbers and riddles their minds engage. Hydraulic presses poised to crush their fate as they seek answers before it's too late. The PDA